So, you finally made it. I've been expecting you. Look who finally figured it out. The one who reads minds without trying, who catches lies before they're spoken, who feels the shift in energy before anyone else notices. Welcome, you beautiful psychological savant. You walking lie detector test. You breathing manipulation scanner. Let me tell you something they never wanted you to know. You were taught psychological warfare. You didn't take a class. You didn't read the manual. You were born with the blueprint already etched into your DNA. While they studied tactics, you lived them. While they memorized strategies, you breathed them. While they practiced manipulation, you were surviving it since childhood. They look at you confused, don't they? Wondering how you always know, how you catch their games before they even start playing, how you see through their masks like they're made of glass. They think you're paranoid. They think you're reading too much into things. But we both know the truth. You're not reading into anything. You're reading exactly what's there. The micro expressions they think they're hiding. The voice changes they believe are subtle. The energy shifts they assume are invisible. You see it all because you had to, because somewhere in your past, reading people wasn't a skill. It was survival. Maybe it was a parent whose mood could flip like a switch. Maybe it was friends who smiled while sharpening knives. Maybe it was lovers who gaslit you until you questioned your own name. Whatever it was, it turned you into something they never expected. A human polygraph, a walking psychological weapon. Someone who doesn't need to learn the game because you invented half the rules. Let's go back to where it started. You were young, weren't you? Too young to understand why the air felt different when certain people walked in. Too young to explain why some smiles made your stomach turn. But your body knew. Your instincts were already recording data, filing patterns, building a database of human deception that would later become your superpower. You learned to read the room before you could read books. You decoded emotional temperatures before you understood Celsius or Fahrenheit. They called you sensitive. They said you were too much. They told you to stop overthinking. But you weren't overthinking. You've taken the weapons they forged in you and turned them into tools. You help others see what they can't see. You guide people through their own psychological warfare. You teach without teaching. You heal without claiming to be a healer. You lead without needing a title. Because leadership isn't about position when you can read the room better than anyone else in it. It's about vision. And yours is 20/20 in a world full of people wearing the wrong prescription. You've become the translator for those who don't speak the language yet, the guide for those just beginning to see, the lighthouse for ships navigating storms you've already survived. Not because you went looking for this role, but because when you've been to hell and memorized the map, you can't help but leave breadcrumbs for others finding their way out. Your trauma has become your teacher. Your wounds have become your wisdom. Your scars have become your scripture, not the kind written in books, the kind written in the way you move through the world, the way you don't flinch when others try to play games, the way you smile when they attempt manipulation, the way you remain steady when they try to shake you. You've learned things they don't teach in any psychology course, like how the most dangerous people often have the warmest smiles, how the loudest victims are often the quietest abusers, how those who claim to hate drama are usually directing it from backstage, how people tell you exactly who they are and what they accuse you of being, how projection isn't just a theory, but a daily occurrence you can now spot from miles away. You know that when someone says, I'm not trying to start anything, but they're about to start everything. When they say, I don't want to get involved, they're already 3 moves deep in involvement. When they claim, I'm just being honest, they're about to be everything but. You've decoded the language beneath the language, the real conversation happening under the spoken one. You understand now that psychological warfare isn't always aggressive. Sometimes it's the withdrawal of energy. Sometimes it's the strategic confusion. Sometimes it's the calculated inconsistency designed to keep you off balance. But none of it works on you anymore. You can't be destabilized by someone playing with stable. You can't be confused by someone manufacturing chaos. You can't be thrown off balance when you've learned to dance on shifting ground. You've mastered the art of being unmovable in a world full of people trying to move you. Unshakable in a reality where everyone's trying to shake everyone. Untouchable in a game where everyone's trying to touch everyone's wounds. You don't participate in the psychological warfare anymore. You transcend it. You exist above it. You watch it like a movie you've seen 1,000 times, already knowing every plot twist. And that's where your true power lies now. In your indifference to their games. In your immunity to their tactics. In your transcendence of their level. They can't psychological warfare someone who isn't at war. They can't manipulate someone who sees the strings. They can't gaslight someone who carries their own light. They can't play mind games with someone whose mind isn't playing. You've reached a level of psychological sovereignty they didn't know existed, where their opinions don't penetrate, where their judgments don't land, where their projections bounce off like rubber bullets on armor you forged from their previous attacks. You're not fighting them. You're not even defending against them. You're simply existing at a frequency they can't reach. This is what terrifies them most, not your ability to fight back. Your ability to not need to, not your capacity for revenge, your capacity for indifference, not your skill at playing their games, your transcendence of needing games at all. You've become psychologically bulletproof, not because you've built walls, because you became the bullet. When they try to trigger your trauma, they find you've already healed. When they try to push your buttons, they discover you've rewired the whole system. When they try to find your weakness, they realize your weakness became your strength while they were still planning their attack. You're not unbreakable because you never break. You're unbreakable because you've already been broken and rebuilt yourself with better material. Out you're charting territory they don't have maps for, creating psychological technologies they don't have terms for. You're not just surviving in their world. You're building your own, with different rules, different physics, different possibilities. A world where authenticity is power, where vulnerability is strength, where truth is the only currency that matters. In your world, masks don't work, illusions don't hold, deceptions don't compute. It's like you're running different software that automatically detects and deletes bullshit, software that has pop-up blockers for manipulation, software that runs constant background scans for authenticity. They try to upload their viruses, but your system just laughs and quarantines their attempts. You've become the antivirus in human form, the firewall against psychological invasion, the security system that makes infiltrators nervous just by existing. Not through effort, through evolution, not through study, through survival, not through training, through transformation. You didn't learn to speak this language. You were born already fluent. They're still using translation apps while you're writing poetry in the mother tongue. People ask how you always know, how you always see it coming, how you never get fooled anymore. They want your secret. They want the formula. They want the quick fix. But there isn't one. You can't teach someone a language they haven't lived. You can't give someone instincts they haven't earned. You can't transfer wisdom that was paid for in blood. But here's the ultimate truth they'll never understand. Your power isn't in what you can see. It's in what you choose to do with that sight. You could destroy people with what you know. You could dismantle their entire psychological infrastructure with 3 well-placed observations. You could leave them questioning everything they thought they knew about themselves. But you don't. You act as if you aren't hurt, and you act as if you are enough. Because real power isn't in destruction. It's in the choice not to destroy. Real strength isn't in using your weapons. It's in keeping them sheathed. Real mastery isn't in playing the game better. It's in changing the game entirely. You are not interested in psychological warfare anymore. You're interested in psychological peace. Not the fake kind built on ignoring reality. The real kind built on accepting it. You see their games and choose not to play. You spot their manipulations and choose not to engage. You detect their lies and choose not to expose them unless necessary, because you've learned something they haven't. The best revenge isn't winning their war, it's refusing to fight. The best response